Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Solopreneur podcast. Today, my guest is Brenda Brown, founder of the beautiful Mystic Waters Ranch. Brenda has always believed passionately in the true potential of horses to help people release and grow from their deepest wounds on mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. She brings love and compassion along with dynamic healing processes to assist her clients to create their most fulfilling life. She's an advanced certified field trainer that's facilitated equine experiential learning, a master NLP, timeline clearing, and family constellation facilitator. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Well, Brenda, I want to talk about the ranch and all the great stuff that is going on there. But I guess my first question is, when did you first realize that horses have healing powers that can help people?
I guess I kind of knew it all along because I was always so drawn to them as a child and always wanted just to be with them and hang out with them. We grew up on a farm in Alberta and had horses there. So I was always very passionate about connecting with them. And it was a little later in life that I actually realized just the true potential that they have to help us as a reflection of what's going on for us.
Awesome. And so, tell us about the ranch. How did the ranch come into being, Mystic Waters, and what goes on there?
Well, after I was in the naturopathic clinic for 13 years, the horses had a strong calling for me to come back out and work with them. So I created Mystic Waters Ranch in 2011, and I was located in Langley. And in 2021, we moved to South Surrey and to this beautiful location we have now that is very treed, and it's just a really magical place.
Awesome. And you're right on the Canada-US border, aren't you?
Can't get any more
In
south than
BC.
this. When it's
Do you,
zero, it's zero. There ain't no
yeah.
go.
So how does the healing work with the horses? How do you train them, and what are they doing actually?
Well, we don't really train them per se, is what we do is allow them to become themselves. So we work with them themselves, the horses, to help them to release any traumas they have and also to allow them to become heard and listened to. And I mean
Hmm.
heard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so by allowing us to listen to them and them to have a voice, they start to speak. And as they speak and as they communicate, then we can help them. And then they turn around and help us in exchange.
Oh, how do they know that they're expected to do that?
It's not so much an expectation, it is a an invitation.
Okay.
So when we go out, my horses will basically already kind of energetically know who's coming. And so they will kind of already have that awareness of which horse may be the specific horse that would work with that client.
Oh, awesome. So when you say they already energetically know, is that just like a heightened intuition or something like, what a psychic would have?
I think it's like you said, it's a very heightened intuition. Horses know what's happening before it does. That's why their senses are very in tune, so they can kind of energetically feel what's coming.
Hmm, awesome. And you've worked with them prior to, I guess, understand a little bit that they have this and give them the motivation or give them the idea that people are coming, and so they're probably coming for us to help.
Yeah, they're coming as I kind of say that's an option and a choice for them to whoever it is that they want to work with. Usually, I ask them to, who do you want to work with, and come in their dreams and bring them in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So sometimes people will say, I had a vision, I had a dream, or I had maybe an Akashic record reading where the horses came, and they said that they wanted to, for me to work with the horses, or the horses would help me.
Oh, interesting. So what type of um, issues are people having that they are coming to you? for?
It's quite a range. So anything from people that want to move forward in their life if they're having blocks. So if they're feeling frustrated or irritated, or if they're um, feeling emotionally blocked and they're not able to open up their hearts to feel love, or if they're grieving, if they're feeling any kind of depression or sadness or grief. It's just a whole range of things that may be going. They may be going through a transition in their life where they're no longer like wanting to work in the career that they're doing. And so they want to move out of it. So the horses may help them to clear or release whatever's resisting them from moving forward and stepping into their path of what they came to do.
So the horses can help them release these the blocks or blocked
Yeah.
emotions.
Yeah. They kind of help mirror it back. So how they do is they reflect back what's happening for the person, because usually nobody does the healing but the person themselves. So they're not the healer. The horses aren't the healers, but they're the reflectors. It's sort of like when you have mascara on your face and you see it running down your face, but you can't see it until you look in the mirror. And when you look in the mirror, then you're able to wash it off.
Oh,
So
cool.
that happens with the emotions as well. When they can reflect really what's going on, then they can help them to shift because they can see the truth.
Interesting. Shining a light on what's really going on with them.
Yeah. And getting
'Cause
right to the point. Horses don't make up stories, right? They just tell the truth. And so you can't lie to a horse and they're not going to lie to you. So they're going to read you energetically where you're at when you come. And so they're going to reflect back what you need at this moment to move forward.
awesome. And well, do you have an example or two that stands out, of something that has happened healing wise at your ranch? You there must have a few that you've been there
I've
for
got
a while.
lots. It's just a matter of which one would be a good one to pick. Um, let's see which one comes through. It depends on if you want to talk about just a client or students that are taking the training.
Well, let's talk about a client right now, and then we'll
Yes.
get on to the students.
So um, let's see, which is a good one. So one of the clients that I had was a lady that was struggling with relationships. And when we were out with the horses, one of the horses took his bucket and literally turned it upside down, grabbed hay and put it on top, and started eating off the bucket. This is very unusual. This horse doesn't do this, never done it before, never did it again. So it was very specific to this client. And I go, oh, it just seems like somebody's on a pedestal or something. And she just went white and she said, oh, my dad always ate first. So he was
Ooh.
showing that he was on the pedestal. He was the master of the house, and he got to eat first before everybody else. So once he was done, then everybody else could eat.
Wow. And I'm sure that caused a bit of trauma.
For her, yes, because then now she's always feeling that she has to be submissive rather than be in a relationship that is co-creative and partnership.
Exactly. Wow. How creative
Yeah.
of the horse to come up with that.
Yeah. And they just do it. They don't even think about it being creative, or they just do it. They just,
Yeah.
you know.
Here's a
So
bucket.
that's, yeah, here's the bucket. See, another gentleman came and he was really struggling. And one of the horses, literally, after we were sitting outside the paddock or the pen, because we usually work in a round pen where we were doing the session. So it's clearly different from their paddock. And then after the session, the horse stuck his head through the rail and literally put his head on his shoulder to say that you're not alone. We've got you on this.
Aw,
So sometimes we feel like we're all alone in this, but actually we're not.
wow. That must be so powerful to have a horse come up to you like that and just give you
Yeah.
that reassurance.
And especially when he had to stick his head through
Yeah.
the rail, right? Put his head through and adjust it, and then did it, and really, touch this guy in his heart. So,
Mm.
and then another one that comes to mind, I was working with a young lady, and she was really struggling in her relationships, and Unfortunately, she had had some, severe trauma. And so we were releasing fear. And one of the horses was at the end when we were almost finished the session, walked around, picked up a leaf, and then put it in her hand.
Really?
Yeah.
So like just
Yeah.
picked it up.
Picked it up with her lips, walked
Oh,
over, put it in her hands. And then I like looked at the client and goes, "Oh, what do you think the horse is telling you?" She says, "I think it's time to turn over a new leaf."
oh, of course.
So yeah, so there's these ways that they do it as so simple and so pure that is like, wow.
And it's so directed to that individual. Like that came to her mind right away.
Yeah,
Turn over a new leaf.
yeah.
And the
And I
same with the
ask because I don't want to assume what it means for her.
right, right. Awesome. So you not only do people come for healing, but as you were mentioning, you do have a training program where you teach people to be the facilitator. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. It's a 6-month certification,
Hmm.
and I'm the only one in Western Canada that can do the training. So there is the founders of the work, the field program is in Ontario.
Okay.
So the Horse Spirit Connections, I'm sort of like a satellite clinic or a satellite school. And so because they don't want to travel, it's a lot to travel and you can't take your horses with you all the time and stuff. And it's hard for people to go there. Plus, we could be doing trainings at the same time.
Hmm.
And so I'm the only one in Western Canada. And then we have a lady in Sweden who's doing it as well.
Okay.
She's training as well. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And do you find that the people who come to learn the training, have they had experience with horses being, of that type of having sessions with horses?
Some have had sessions with horses. Some you have to have access to horses or be have your own horses and are able to do the work. So they may have had experiences with horses that they may not be able to put words to,
Mm,
and so they're drawn to the work because they will understand then how the horses have helped them in the past and how they can help them in the future and how we as facilitators can facilitate people's own healing.
awesome. And you've been doing that for a few years now, right?
Yeah, I graduated as a field trainer in 2017.
Mm,
So,
okay. So you've had quite a few grads.
yeah, I got a few grads under my belt. Yeah. I
Awesome.
pretty much do almost 2 a year. So you'll do a spring training, so it'll go from spring to fall and then from fall back over to spring again. So,
And do you find that the new facilitators see it as a quite a breakthrough for themselves
yes,
as well?
personally, they get so much out of it from the even in the first week, from the first day to the 5th day in the first week. There's massive changes in them because you can't pretend to do a session with a horse.
Right.
You can't go, okay, I think I'm going to work on this. The horse is going to go, no, this is what's going on. So you
Right.
have to be, they have to practice being the client before and also being authentic because then they can then know what it feels like for them to facilitate their clients.
Exactly. That's awesome. Um, you have other services at the ranch too. You do family constellation, and I'm always intrigued by that. For those who don't know, what is family constellations?
So family constellation is a process where we're actually able to offer healing for the environment of the family. So we all know our understanding that trauma gets passed down from generation to generation. So we may be feeling the trauma of our ancestors and maybe reenacting it because we're feeling that pain. And so we're attracting situations in our life, but it didn't start with us. And so in the constellations, we're able to go back and offer representatives for each of those ancestors in that lineage for that specific trauma that needs to be released.
Hmm.
And so then that ancestor then can release it themselves rather than us trying to release it for them.
And is it sort of a meditation or hypnosis or something like
No,
that?
it actually is within a group. Most of the time it's within a group. I can do it individually as well with the horses. I can do it online. So I can use obstacles like crystals or rocks or different things to represent different people so that we can make what we call a morphic field. And then in the sacred circle, we can offer and find out where things happened.
And do the horses get involved in that?
So yeah, so I've included the horses have asked to be included.
Oh, they have. Okay.
They wanted to step in, and
Awesome.
so that they I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now, where sometimes it's one horse and sometimes it's two horses that'll come in, and they'll be a
And
part, and they're free to read the energy and see where they need to go, what needs to be happening.
oh, oh. So they might react to these rocks or things that are
So
representing others?
yeah, absolutely. So if we're doing it just with the horses and one person, then they will have we'll have objects that will say represent the mother, the grandmother, the great grandmother, maybe the issue that happened, the trauma, the abuse. Maybe it's an emotional grief. Maybe they trauma of a loss of a child, so they're grieving that child. We may bring in, maybe it's a toxic or an injury, and then the horse will help us to be able to go and help that ancestor release that in that field.
Oh, wow.
And so then it's no longer being carried to us or into the next generation or future generations.
And do you find that this is lasting? Do they have to come back or does is it kind of
Once it's done, it's done. It doesn't have to be redone, right? And we also do it where we actually have people step into those roles, be representatives for that mother, the grandmother, the great grandmother. So then we also bring a horse into the round pen at that time as well. We'll place people as where we feel they belong within the system, and then the horse will be at liberty so the horse can do what it needs to do. So
and
if
so
it
it might come
feels,
around to whoever's being the grandmother or whoever is being the ancestor. And
yeah, yeah. So we were
oh,
in one where the one lady was actually grabbing the lead line and the rope and kind of like it was like pulling, she's like, it feels like I'm pulling up an anchor or something. So it was like they were pulling up a boat off a boat, and they felt so empty. It's almost like they had been cut off from their ancestors. There was no energy, no connection when they were pulling up the boat, like there was some kind of disaster where they had to leave and there was nothing left. And so this horse stood with this person for like 5 minutes, and the ancestor could feel that love coming back in. And it was very cool because as we proceeded to then come through the whole system and allow that love to flow through, when we were complete, a lot of times what we'll do is in the resolution is we'll have the ancestor standing behind so the person can feel them supporting them
mm.
and they can lean back on them. And so as we were doing that, this horse came and stood with that ancestor. And it was
Um,
so powerful because it was like, you can't tell them, you can't train them, like, okay, go over there now, horse, do this, horse. It's like they're totally doing it out of their own initiative.
that's so cool. So
It
what
is
was the pulling about? Do you know?
pulling up an anchor.
So what was there some literal thing that happened regarding an anchor or boat or
Yeah, so this ancestor was leaving the country.
got it? And so felt very cut off from, and that could actually translate to someone living now
It feels
and
cut
cause
off.
feeling cut off.
Mhm. Disconnected, doesn't feel the love from the ancestors because if it's this is the thing that a lot of times people don't understand is when people are having so much issues and they're feeling needy and empty, it's because the ancestors didn't give them the love they needed. And it's not because they're bad ancestors, it's probably because they were traumatized or something shut them down, where they were in survival and they didn't feel that love. It's think of a mother that loses their child, and then the next child that comes along doesn't get that full heart of the mother because the mother is grieving that that pain of that child. So it doesn't really want to attach to that child the same way it would if there was no loss of child.
Sure. And then it's passed down from that child to their child, and that it just comes right out to present time.
You got it.
That's amazing. Um, does it involve past lives at all, or we're talking?
Not well, we could do it through the constellations, but mostly we try to stay within the realm of the family and the facts. So what factually is going on? What do we know
Right.
factually, and track it that way? So that is where, when within the constellations, we do it that way. The other thing that we can do with constellations is we can actually put up health issues.
Hmm.
So we can put up, like we did allergies. One lady had severe allergies, like can't eat this, can't eat that, can't eat this. And so we did a constellation about that. And the next day she was eating things she couldn't eat before because she did this big rash on her face. And
Wow.
yeah.
So do you know what happened? Somewhere somebody had an allergy and it got passed down, or?
No, it wasn't even an allergy that they had, but they were being under attack. And that's what an allergy is the immune system feels attacked, throwing out the histamines. So then we have
Right.
that itchiness and that, what, and all that. So then we have a gut reaction. If it's in inside of our gut, we'll have a gut reaction. So this way it's like it's under attack rather than being able just to take what it needs and release what it doesn't need.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't even an allergy that started it. It was a feeling of being attacked.
Right. And then something about what she was eating or something like that must have triggered it somehow.
It was her feeling attacked
Mm,
herself,
hmm. Yeah,
right? So she started to feel that attack, and it was at certain situations that it started to get worse.
gotcha. Wow. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. We did one time where a gentleman came in with full-blown allergies, like itching and sneezing, um, and then he got called in to be a representative for somebody.
Okay.
And as he stepped in the role, he stopped sneezing, his eyes went clear, the whole allergy thing was completely gone for the hour and a half that we were doing the constellation.
How come?
Because he wasn't him, he was holding energy for somebody else.
Oh,
And then when he stepped out and sat down, allergies came back.
wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Okay. There's some magic going on here. That's why
Yeah,
you call it mystic.
yeah,
Mystic
mystical.
waters.
Yeah, because it's a mystery sometimes as well too, because we don't consciously know, because these are things that would be in the unconscious and in our DNA that we wouldn't consciously know about.
Hmm.
So in my family, my grandmother on my dad's side lost her first 5 children,
Whoa.
and then she had 9 more. And my dad was like the baby of the family. So our family was really angry at him because he was having a hard time staying in our family and looking after us. He kind of left when I was around 10, 9, 10, 11 years old. So he was basically vacant, and he just really had nothing to give us.
Hmm.
And so, we're all kind of like looking at him going, well, why did you do that? And then it's like, well, when you understand the bigger picture, it's not because he wanted to, it's because he had nothing to give. And he just felt more incapable as more people wanted stuff from him. More of the children wanted stuff from him.
Right.
So when we
So,
understand the big picture, and sometimes we can understand what happened, and then we can heal that at my grandmother, because if she thought something was wrong with her, right, because her body's killing these babies, if that's what's happening, then we think, then that belief can go, there's something wrong with me.
right. Right. Even though she had nine more after, but
Yep.
still, yeah.
Yeah, but that belief was already there, but she also wasn't emotionally able to really connect with her children.
Mm. Hmm.
She was exhausted, depleted, overworked, overwhelmed, right?
Afraid she's doing something wrong, probably.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of issues in those ancestors, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
and it wasn't like my grandmother was a bad woman, just these things happened.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
by releasing that, it shifted our family, because now unconsciously, they all don't feel like he didn't love them. And that love is coming through to them, regardless of whether they know it or not.
Wow. So that was done through family constellation
Yeah.
for you guys,
Yeah. For
your
me and my
family.
family was like, whoa.
That's fantastic.
Hmm.
I also just wanted to ask about timeline clearing. Is that related to the constellations? Is it
No,
similar?
that's kind of a different process. So the constellations is environmental. That's our environment that we came into this life with. In the clearing is when I'm working with the horses, and timeline is usually when I'm just working one-on-one with a client over the phone or in my office here. And so that's about us clearing our emotions, our belief systems that have been unresolved from past situations. So
Mm,
if a situation happens and there's no resolution, then it gets stuck in our system as an unresolved emotion.
right.
So if we can get to the origin of it, whether it was an ancestral one or if it was past life or it was this life, we can get to the root of it, then it's no and do a recall of what it was like before that and that belief or emotion became stuck, then we can actually recall who we truly are.
Beautiful. And can you do that remotely, like over the
Yep.
phone or?
Yep. I do Zoom calls with clients.
That's great. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, so uh, I know that on top of all the great healing that's going on, you've created a card deck, haven't you?
I have.
It's a beautiful Mystic Messages from the Horses Oracle deck. Lovely. And just as a parting message to the audience, I was wondering if we could pull a few cards.
Let's pull one because
One.
they're pretty
They're detailed.
detailed and there's layers to them. So
Mhm.
so these cards were also painted with crystals and crystal charged water. So each of the cards
Awesome.
has the energy of the crystal as well as numerology. So it can be the picture, and it could be the message. It could be the numerology. Could be the crystals. So this
Oh,
is what came out, which is freedom.
freedom. Beautiful.
You see that one? Okay.
Yeah.
So freedom. So you want me to read this for you?
Yes, please.
So it's a 21, which becomes a 3. On some level, are you asking for freedom? Does this image of horses running free stir up emotions of feeling free? What do you want to be free from? These are some of the questions to ask yourself right now. Do you want to be free from a relationship, a job, or a commitment that keeps you feeling trapped? Are you afraid of making a mistake or to give up or quit? Is there a belief that you do not deserve to have the freedom you deserve? Did you overcommit to someone or something that you did not know how or that you do not know how to free yourself from? Are you ready to change the story? Write down where it is you feel the most free and what would you do with your freedom? Each question brings you closer to understanding what thoughts or behaviors are keeping you where you are at. Once you understand what keeps you from expanding into a state of freedom, you'll be that much closer to attaining it. You are the creator of your life. You have full permission to live your life on your terms. Be free, run free. So that's
Beautiful. That's a beautiful card. Beautiful
thank you.
painting as well.
And the number 3 represents creative spirit.
Mm.
The power of 3 is divine and universal with its energy it brings. A symbol of connection between your body, your mind, your spirit, with joyful creative expression of creativity. Keywords: creativity, communication, catalyst, social self-expression, and success. And then it has the different crystals that we had painted it with, but there's so many of them. There's a lot because I wanted as much energy in that card for people. So we have amethyst, aventurine, citrine, jade, quartz lemurian, labradorite, and rose quartz.
Mm, beautiful.
And that represents my two boys, Gabe and Espresso. So Espresso is actually literally running free now because he's now on the other side. And Gabe is here and he's doing great. So
Oh, great. Gabe is the light colored one, correct?
he's the one with a little painted bum in the background. So this is Espresso.
Oh,
And
okay,
Gabe's
gotcha.
got he's the appy with the Appaloosa bum in the back.
Right.
So,
Beautiful.
so this was
Well,
what the horses asked me to do. They asked me to get the messages out through the cards.
fantastic. Well, the numerology there for creativity goes with the freedom message quite well because when you are creative, you're creating, manifesting. That's an act of freedom, right?
Totally. And I
So,
didn't actually know when we were doing what each of the things, it just seems to keep getting deeper and deeper as people work with the cards and how they're all synchronicity within them. So
yeah, yeah, for sure.
it took me
That's,
about 4 years to create these.
I bet.
So anybody who's
Yeah,
thinking about doing, cards, whether they're oracle or, tarot or um, um, inspirational, that just know that it takes time, energy, and yeah, if you're going to stay
creativity.
with it, yeah, and lots of creativity. So stay with it. So
Awesome. Thanks,
mhm.
Brenda. Well, where can people get hold of you and book sessions and talk to you about what's going on
so
at the ranch?
so they can check my website out at mysticwatersranch.com, or they can email me at brenda@mysticwatersranch.com. So on my website, you can definitely find me very easily.
Awesome. It's easy.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Well, thank you, Brenda, for being here. Really appreciate learning about the horses and all the healing that's going on at your ranch. And thanks so much.
Thank you for having me on. And I want to say thanks to everybody that's listening, and may you find freedom and joy in your life.
Beautiful, beautiful message to end on. Thanks, Brenda.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.